Hi, this is John Fugler, the founder of Recruit Me, saying congratulations, Brent, on 500 episodes of the Athletic Scholarship Podcast. When I began it many years ago, I had no idea how far it would go. You picked up the ball, you're running with it. 500 episodes. That's amazing. Congratulations. They talk about recruiting being a marathon. Well, you're running it. Congratulations, number 500.
Are you looking for an athletic scholarship? You're in the right place. This is the Recruit Me Athletic Scholarship Podcast, the longest running podcast on recruiting and athletic scholarships. We're here to help your family navigate the recruiting road all the way to an athletic scholarship. He's a recruiting expert and a dad of 2 college athletes. He has a wealth of experience to share. Here's Recruit Me CEO, Brent Hanks.
The Athletic Scholarship Podcast is the world's longest-running recruiting education podcast. Today you'll get some history of the Athletic Scholarship Podcast and Recruit Me recruiting education business. You will hear from the Recruit Me and the Athletic Scholarship founder, John Fugler, and you will get the goals of the Athletic Scholarship Podcast and a look back at some of the helpful recruiting tips and advice that are in episodes that are both free and relevant in today's recruiting world. Mr. Fugler started Recruit Me in 2002, and then added the Athletic Scholarship Podcast with its first episode in October 14th, 2015. That episode was called 5 Things to Help You Avoid Pain, Disappointment, and Financial Disaster. Way to start on a positive note. John started the weekly format on October 4th, 2016, in episode 12. John and the Athletic Scholarship Podcast hit its 100th episode on July 3rd, 2018, and it was named Bottom Line of Recruiting: What You Need to Know and Do to Impress a College Coach. Then one of John's most memorable episodes was on June 25th, 2019. It was episode 151, and it was an interview with me about Parker, my son's recruitment. Episode 200 hit in 2020, and it was called Recruiting Basics Part 4, Foundation for Athletic Scholarship Success. Then episode 205 was my first episode. It was called One Big Lesson in Recruiting. I hit the 300 episode on May 3rd, 2022. And then April 2nd, 2024 was episode 400. Let's celebrate the 400th episode with an interview with John Fugler. So here we are on episode 500, and we're bringing in John Fugler again to help us celebrate. So let's go. Well, John, welcome back. I don't know how many episodes you've been on, but you've been back with me a couple times, and being the founder of the Athletic Scholarship Podcast, I wanted to have you on to celebrate the 500th episode of the Athletic Scholarship Podcast.
Man, I feel like it should be shooting off fireworks or something. I can't believe it, Brent. 500 episodes. Now, when I left, I think I was around 200, but you have run the race here. Talk about it being a marathon with pursuing an athletic scholarship. You have run the marathon with this podcast and helped so many families over the years. Congratulations on hitting number 500.
Well, and I wanted to continue being the world's longest running athletic recruiting education podcast that you started. Can you just tell us here a little bit about how you got the Athletic Scholarship Podcast started?
Well, Recruit Me had been running for many years, I think probably over 15 years, when podcasting started to come into popularity. But even before it was popular, I started the Athletic Scholarship Podcast. I've been in radio my whole life, so it was nothing new. It was like a radio show for me. So jumped right in with the podcast. I think we were doing like 2 a month before we went weekly. I say we, it was basically me and sharing the truths that help families and doing some interviews along the way. So I just kind of slid into it. As podcasting opened up, I wanted to bring athletic scholarships into that spotlight. So I started the Athletic Scholarship Podcast.
And you started, I think it was like in October of 2015 with your first podcast. And like you said, you did a few here and there, and then you got into the weekly podcast. And kind of give us again a little background of how you got into Recruit Me to begin with.
Sure. It was like you, had sons that were athletes pursuing an athletic scholarship. And back then, this was 1999, I believe, when we started looking at this whole thing of athletic scholarships. Heard somebody come into the high school and speak to parents and athletes about athletic scholarships. He had a book that he had with him, and he taught from that book, and it was an educational experience for me. Well, my wife and I decided and other parents too, let's just try and see what we can do to get our kids an athletic scholarship. So we followed some of the principles in the book and that the speaker had told us about, and went through the process, stumbled through it, figured it out, and both of our twin sons landed fully paid educations at the school of their choice, and it was great. So it worked for us. Other families came to me afterwards with younger kids and said, "How did you do it?" Well, I had all these documents, letters, and emails. Not really any emails at the time, but it was all through the mail. Player profile, questionnaires that we had, all the things that we had put together during this journey. I just started sending them out to parents. Said, "Here's what we did. Go ahead and try it." It wasn't really scientific. And then a friend of mine came to me and said, "Let's systematize this. Let's put this into a system." And thus was born the athletic scholarship system, Recruit Me Athletic Scholarship System, that we began to sell online. It was all digital at the time, and then we printed them as well, and people would order the printed versions, and it became a manual and a system that was in print and also in audio version. And as you heard, we then developed the Athletic Scholarship Podcast. We had a number of, before webinars, they were called teleseminars. We did a number of those too to teach families as well. So we used the media of that day to take the principles of pursuing an athletic scholarship, and as the media changed, we changed along with it.
Well, and you mentioned 1999. That happened to be the year that my older son was born, Parker. So it's been 26 years since you started your adventure. Parker started his recruitment around 2020 or 2016, and I didn't find you till after Parker had committed to go to college. And when I decided to take what we had learned, just like you did, take what we had learned and try to help other families, I found you, and our stories are so similar that it ended up working out that I was able to take your system and continue it here, not only in the with the manual and the book and the Recruit Me 3.0 athletic scholarship system, but all the way up into the 500th episode here of the Athletic Scholarship Podcast.
Yeah, and I think, Brent, you've taken it really further than that. The principles, and we've talked about this, are really timeless from back in 1999 to here we are today in 2026. The principles are the same. It's just the application of those principles change over the years. Even as NCAA rules change, as recruiting changes, there's still some principles which are hard and fast, and you've been teaching those. And I think that's fantastic.
And I'm going to continue here as we get over the 500 episodes. I'm going to go back to the basics and try to give our families and the student athletes the 7 steps to an athletic scholarship, and just kind of show them how the basics still work in here 2026, even with all, like you said, the changes, the scholarship changes, the roster size changes, the NIL and the transfer portal. We still want to go back to the basics, the fundamentals, just like in our sports. We want to do the fundamentals in our recruiting. And if you need bigger and better, you can go on. But I talked to so many people, and you probably did too, that were kind of in a panic their junior and senior year. And I think a lot of our basics that we use for Recruit Me as you start your freshman, sophomore year can really set them up to make the junior, senior year a little easier than what it would have been. What were some of your goals whenever you first started Recruit Me and the Athletic Scholarship Podcast?
Boy, goals. I wanted to get the system out to as many people as possible. We wanted to, and I know you do too, want to make recruiting attainable, scholarships attainable for any athlete. And I believe that any athlete, any talented athlete, can have the opportunity to play and compete at the school of their choice. And it's got to be, as you determine what the school of choice is, there's those that are good fits. There are those that are the right fits, and that's the most important thing. And what I wanted to do is just to help families pursue that on their own. That was always our goal, to be able to not have to rely on expensive services, consultants, coaches, that type of thing, but to be able to take these principles and apply it on their own. Because what it comes down to is the heart of the athlete, the desire of the athlete, the initiative that the athlete takes. And that's a family affair. So as families come together to do this, that speaks loudly to coaches. It still does. So I want to make this attainable. I want to make it simple. I want it to be step by step that anyone could follow. And the comments and stories that I got back, that you're continuing to get back as you do that, affirm it. That you as a parent, you as an athlete can handle this together. And if you have to do it on your own, maybe your parents aren't that much involved, then go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. Parents, if your athlete's not involved, your athlete needs to get involved. You can't do it for them. But this is something that's attainable. It's step by step. And our goal all the way through, my friend Ron Johnston and I were the ones that spearheaded this and walked it through and wrote the material, taught the material, packaged it together for families so it's understandable. We wanted to make it work for any family.
Well, other than you being a big Dodgers fan and me being a big Cardinals fan, that's about the only things that we're kind of different on. I think our view of recruiting, our experience has been so similar, and I think that's why we worked together there early, and then I eventually was able to take over your business. Tell us what you're doing now. You're still teaching people probably about a more important thing than what about recruiting.
Yeah, it's funny because the more I distanced myself from our kids' athletic career, I became less and less in touch with what was going on in recruiting, and you stepped in, and that was a real godsend because you're immersed like I was, and you were able to pick it up and really make it relevant in specific ways to families. So that was great for me then to step out and for you to step in. I have updated the athletic scholarship playbook, and I've got a journal out there too, and that goes along with it, a guide. So I keep that updated. But I'm working in ministry. As I mentioned, have worked in radio all my life. And so been doing a lot of Christian radio that is a worldwide ministry called TWR. I also am an author and have written devotionals and other Christian nonfiction books that I continue to do. And I love to write, and that is my passion, and I will continue to do that in the years ahead as long as God gives me a mind and I'm able to communicate.
And tell us, you can still get the two recruiting tools that you have on Amazon. What other ways can you get those resources? And then how can people hear your podcast or see some of your books or get some of your books that you have written here recently?
Sure, everything's available on Amazon. I've also got the Athletic Scholarship Playbook as on Audible. That's an older version, and that's one of the things I want to do is update that version. I hope to do that in the next 3 months, so the updated audiobook matches the updated book that is there on Amazon. I've got in fact, as you mentioned, I'm still involved in podcasting, and I've been doing that well, I never really stopped, even after the Athletic Scholarship podcast. So I've got the Retreating with God podcast. It's 3 times a week, short devotional, and books related to that are available on Amazon as well. So Retreating with God, if you go there, you'll be able to listen to the podcast. So I still keep myself in tune and I guess you could say on the air as well.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to help us celebrate here on the 500th episode, and I hope that I get you back on 550 or 600 if possible.
Oh, well, thank you. And again, Brent, congratulations. This is a big deal, and I hope your listeners realize that, and they'll just give you kudos for right there on the podcast and be able to give you 5-star ratings, everything, and tell others about this podcast. Maybe there are parents and athletes who are finishing up this process, or maybe you're right in the middle and you got other families you need to let know about this podcast. Tell them, because the information that Brent shares here is gold. So congratulations, Brent, and we'll continue to listen and follow along.
Well, thank you, John. I want to thank John for his foundation and to thank you for listening to the Athletic Scholarship Podcast. Whether it is your first episode or you've been a frequent listener, I thank you. Please share the Athletic Scholarship Podcast with any student athlete or family in the recruiting world. Also, go to and share the recruit-me.com website and take advantage of the free Recruiting Power Pack, the free Recruit Me monthly newsletter, all the free episodes of the Athletic Scholarship Podcast, and get access to the Recruit Me 3.0 Athletic Scholarship System for only $39. Again, thank you for listening to the Athletic Scholarship Podcast, the world's longest running athletic recruiting education podcast. Now, onward to another 500 episodes.